First, the US President Joe Biden has urged American citizens to urgently leave Ukraine. This as the US Secretary of State says Russia has increased threats of military action by sending yet more troops to its border with the country. Antony Blinken saying Washington is continuing to reduce operations at its embassy in Kiev. Moscow's troop build-up continues amid a flurry of diplomacy aimed at easing the crisis. Our international affairs commentator Douglas Herbert spoke to me earlier.
If you're asking me whether he's buying time to launch an invasion, as a lot of the military people are saying, especially in the U.S., I don't think that's the scenario. And obviously, we can't read Putin's mind. I stipulate that. What I do think Putin is doing is he is pushing his very insular, hermetically sealed worldview, one that is shared by not just him, but the bunch of sort of aging men, and I will say they are men in his circle from the Soviet days, and the worldview is a cynical one and a slightly chilling one. They genuinely believe, I think, these people, that the West has it out for Russia, that the West is very antagonistic and hostile to Russia. NATO, Europe, the U.S. are bent on humiliating and bringing down Russia, and they're using Ukraine as sort of a pawn in that humiliation game, if you will. I do believe that Putin, and once again, the people in his immediate circle, the people whispering, the Putin whispers, the people in his ear, genuinely believe they see Russia as having enemies just about everywhere without, and they subscribe to a vision of the world which is still very much, a black and white vision and divided into these blocks. So what I think is happening here is Putin is playing for time in the sense that he wants to have, as long as possible, the spotlight on these ambitions. That is, his aspiration to make sure if he can invade Ukraine, and it's looking very unlikely he's going to be able to do that. I could obviously be wrong. That at least he keeps Ukraine in an eternal position where it's essentially stalemated. It is neutralized in its ambitions to hitch its bandwagon closer to the West, to Europe, eventually to NATO, and to make sure that his legacy ultimately is, when people say, what did Putin do to when he was president for Ukraine, that he's the one who kept Ukraine in that sphere of influence, that he defended Russia. He sees himself as a defender of Russia, Greater Russia, the Russian Empire. Like I said, it's an aging vision, Annette. It's one that's not shared by a lot of younger Russians today, but it's a vision that very much, that narrative, that unbendable narrative, is very, very difficult to change, which is why diplomats are all so hard-pressed, all of the ones who are shuttling right now to Moscow.